Go ahead.
Hi, welcome. We're going to get started in just a moment. I just need to share this out to the Facebook groups. But you joined Robyn and Lynn for our political roundup.
Hey there.
So give us one moment and we'll get started. Okay. Right. Okay. Do this again. A lot of security protocol with Facebook.
That's interesting. I don't remember this much security measures during the 2016 or 2020.
I
It's
know. Are you kidding me? That's
funny.
okay. Here we go. I had to do an extra login to go live. All right. Okay. And then once we're live, I'm just going to play just a minute or two of this Kamala Harris answers the web's most searched questions about her. And then from there, we will get started. So go ahead and share my screen. I don't know if you've seen this, Lynn, but it's cute.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview. What do you want me to do with each one? Yeah. It's not going to be in the camera shot? Because I don't believe in littering. No. Okay. How to pronounce Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. My baby nieces, you can go on YouTube and they did a really great tutorial on how to pronounce my name. So look it up. What did Kamala Harris's mother tell her? She told us that we should never let anyone tell us who we are. You tell them who you are. She said to me many times, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things. Make sure you're not the last. Since I was 2 years old, my mother told me to look out for my little sister. These are all instructions that she gave me that I have carried throughout my life. What does Kamala Harris stand for? I am a daughter of parents who are active in the civil rights movement. They actually took me when I was in a stroller to civil rights marches where they were fighting for freedom, for justice, for equality. I believe, for example, right now that one of the biggest things that we must fight for is the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. An important moment that I had was back in 2004 when I was one of the first elected people in the country to perform same-sex marriages, because I believe very strongly that the law should not treat people differently when it comes to being able to love who they love and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. Does Kamala Harris have kids? Yes. I have two. Cole and Ella became my cherished children. Doug, my husband, I was very clear with him that when we started dating, I wanted to see how this thing was going to go before I would meet Cole and Ella. You know, I'm a kid of divorced parents. It was important to make sure that when I developed a relationship with the kids, that it would be lasting. I love those kids to pieces. They are my children, and I'm very proud of them. How was Kamala Harris's life as a child? I had the blessing of having a great childhood. I grew up in a neighborhood full of families, adults who were everything from construction workers to teachers, people who were proud of their lawn. As kids, we used to ride bikes in the neighborhood. I'll never forget and will always love my banana seat on my bike. And I grew up, you know, in a family of people who, you know, some were family by blood and some were family by love. A real incredible childhood. And I want the same for every child in America.
All right. I want to just ask a question to you, Lynn. Welcome, everyone. This is our weekly political roundup. I'm Robyn.
I'm Lynn.
And we just come together once a week and we review some of our either favorite stories or sometimes stories that may have gone under the radar this week that just stand out to us, things that have happened in the news, on the campaign trail, and social media. So thanks for joining us. I have a question. Why do you think people have, and we have not even discussed this, it was something about that last question where these were the most Googled things about her, and it was, how was her childhood? Why do you think, no matter how much she keeps talking about it and talk, why do you think people still, it's just not like, what is that term? Like it's not scratching the itch or something about who she is and where she came from? I have a couple of theories, but what do you think about that? Is it something so different about her, or is it that she's not saying something, or is it that people don't relate, or what do you think it is?
Um, a lot of this mistrust with Kamala's back history is just giving me like Barack Obama 2008 vibes. Like, and I think, and you're a minority woman, and I believe you can also appreciate this. There is a sense of like a mistrust with minorities. Like, we don't come from a similar shared experience with our white counterparts. And I think that is having to do with why people like don't understand. She had a father, she had a mother, she did this as a child. Like, I think she's doing a great job of being relatable in the public, but for some reason there's like a cloud of mistrust with especially with the far right. Like, they're trying to like sow some sort of mistrust with who she is and how she represents herself.
It's so curious. I went to Oakland. I used to live in Oakland for a couple of years. This was like 2012, 2010, 2012. And I went back there for a conference this past summer. And it was just funny going back there and just kind of looking around. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I can totally see how Kamala Harris, is from Oakland, and kind of some of her, where she's rooted and grounded, and it made a lot of sense. But I do wonder, I didn't know if it was like the California thing or the Bay Area thing, but it's like as many times as she'll talk about her childhood, and I know what people are saying. I think people want her to go into some, great personal detail, and people have that expectation sometimes of public figures and elected officials, but I don't think she's hiding anything. I just think that she had a more, I always use the term modern because she, like she said, she came from divorced parents, and then has a blended family, and all of these different things that we know are out there, but maybe seeing it even with the Barack Obama or Kamala Harris or whomever else, that looks maybe different to some people. I don't know.
Right. And then of course her being a mixed race woman, like automatically it's and she's getting it from both sides. She has some who don't think she's black enough, and then some who are questioning her ethnicity, which is on the Trump campaign side. So yeah, she's got a very difficult road to navigate.
Speaking of a little misinformation, disinformation, we're going to go into our first story that happened this week. Let me go ahead and cue this one on up. In terms of the fact that, Kamala does come from a, mixed race family, and ethnicity and culture and all of those things, which, is very common in many parts of the United States. But for some reason, between she and Barack Obama, there's been so much misinformation and disinformation. And it made its way all the way to our beloved Janet Jackson. So why don't you go ahead and set this one up, Lynn?
Yeah, so Janet Jackson gave an interview where she spoke about a number of things. She spoke about her background and her music career. And for some reason, she, probably to the displeasure of her publicist, she started talking about politics. And I don't know, I'm not sure if she has a law degree or if she's had any political experience, but she started talking about politics. And she said that she had read various sources and various articles that she believed and that suggested that Kamala is actually not Black. And she said that this was the information that was given to her, and she's just going to go with it.
Well, I must go to the exact quote. She said, well, you know what they supposedly said. Like, who is they? But anyway, well, you know what? They supposedly said she's not Black. That's what I heard. That she's Indian. Her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. She coughs. I was told they discovered her father was white, Jackson said. And then the actual interviewer pushed back, saying Harris has dual heritage, I say, and given this moment, does Janet think America is ready for her? And she said, I don't know, honestly. I don't want to answer that because I really truthfully don't know. I think either way it goes, it's going to be mayhem. I think there might be mayhem. Either way it goes, but we'll have to see. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I mean, Janet, it's like, as far as I have known, of Janet Jackson and being a fan and, just through the years, she doesn't have like a mean bone in her body from what I've seen. And I don't think she was trying to be mean. I think this is really what she heard from somebody. And clearly, whoever she's talking to is not very informed.
I think this is a clear example. This woman has got a career that's lasted decades. She's highly regarded in the music industry. I think this is a great example of the dangers of misinformation, that usually when you think of misinformation, people believing misinformation, you think of someone who may not have access to resources like monetary resources, educational resources, or whatnot, someone who's lived in the same small town. But this is a woman who's traveled the world. She married a foreigner. She has a mixed race baby by this ex-husband of hers. And even she has fallen prey to misinformation. And so this is a clear-cut example of why it's incredibly important for journalists and the media at large to really, fact check everything that's presented to us.
It's funny because I don't think whoever was, the writer of this article, I don't think they were expecting when they were asking her, like, oh, what do you think about, I don't know what the question was, VP Harris or the possibility of a woman president or what, but it's just, it's funny that was her answer. And then it seemed like the journalist, felt a need to clear up, which I appreciate. Right. The misinformation. But I don't know where Janet is getting her information, but we will have to keep an eye on that. Right. Let's keep it with, the salacious Hollywood, oh shit, information about Robert F. Kennedy. So I didn't really understand everything initially in regards to what was going on with him and is this Olivia Nuzzi?
Yeah. So what happened was this story is relatively fresh. Olivia Nuzzi is a reporter for New York Magazine, and she profiled Robert F. Kennedy last November. They went on a hike together, and she wrote a profile on him, which he later called a hit piece. Well, a couple of days ago, the news broke that she had been placed on leave because of some sort of explicit images were exchanged between her and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for like the past year. And she since has reported on Robert F. Kennedy several times. And she came out and admitted to it. She said that they had an emotional but not physical affair. It was something that happened digitally. So we can probably believe that to be like they were sexting or something like that. He has come out and denied that they had an affair. He is, of course, is married to actress Cheryl Hines. They've been married for a bit, and he said that the relationship didn't exist. He's had to block her several times on his phone, and that it had turned into sort of like an obsessive kind of relationship. Now, she has since denied that it was a fatal attraction type relationship. She also had a fiance who, Ryan Lizza, he was a reporter, or he currently is a reporter for Politico, pretty esteemed journalist for that outlet. They were engaged to be married back in 2022, and he has since come out saying that they had recently broken up. That's his ex-fiance, but he also said that he will not be reporting on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because of the conflict of interest.
Well, it's interesting just how there's so much criticism about the media, many times from definitely Trump. And then even RFK, he's made comments about the media, but yet they're very, well, at least in this case, he was very much close to the media. I just know there's some journalists who say they try not to accept gifts or, go out with prominent figures, celebs, elected officials. Now, that's probably few and far between, but there was a time where the media was more objective. I don't know what it's like now. Well, we could probably only guess with all the social media and just, a lot of different things have changed. But I wonder if this is going to, have any kind of impact. Not only his marriage, but I wonder, is this going to have any impact on the voters? Although I don't know if they really were seeing RFK as some, high moral value. What do they call him? High value man.
I don't believe it's going to have an impact on the voters. However, the problem is there is a mistrust of the media, and this kind of blurring the lines of having an inappropriate relationship with a source and then reporting on this source. It kind of begs the question, is her writing swayed either way because she has this inappropriate relationship with her source? And then also, unfortunately, it begs the question, well, has she had any inappropriate relationships with sources in the past? And has her reporting been negatively affected on that as well? Additionally, it also casts a shadow on female journalists in general. There is a stereotype that female journalists, sleep with their sources to be able to get ahead. And this unfortunate scandal just continues to aid people to believe that.
Did you ever watch the morning show?
Yeah.
Yeah. The TV,
Yep.
Yeah, the scripted series. I have to go back and see that. I heard that's Vice President Harris. She watches that show too. But that was very interesting. And then even in the whole show was about, for those of you who don't know, it was kind of like a take on either the Today Show or one of those morning shows and kind of what goes on, behind the scenes. But and then I was thinking like in House of Cards. Did you watch House of Cards?
Yes.
Yeah, that first season, it was all about, Zoe the journalist and, this story. And but that was even interesting to see, just how the politics and the media are just right there in bed together. But even more so now. It's not even, people don't even try to be objective in the same way as they used to be.
Yeah, and what's ironic is she actually recently sent out a tweet saying, and she referenced House of Cards, and she said that the media or the entertainment industry needs to do a better job at representing female journalists because we all don't sleep with our sources.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I tell you, it's like do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so let's just keep it going with what these wild stories. It just keeps getting wild, and I cannot get over this guy. Okay, this is Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. For those of you who do not know, Right now, there is a huge scandal going on in North Carolina regarding the lieutenant governor who's running for governor. And this is a Donald Trump appointee, Donald Trump handpicked this man, similar to Herschel Walker, to run for office. So, shall I? Or
Yeah, take it away.
okay, so Mark
Take
Robinson, he was discovered, I believe, he he went viral for a rant at one point about guns. And from there, it's like he was catapulted to running for office, and he caught the eye of, some of Trump's people and everything else. And he has a history of making controversial statements. I mean, he's called Beyonce a demon, and just all kind of just really crazy stuff. And I believe he's some sort of religious figure, pastor or something or another. He has some sort of church. And so that's where a lot of the incendiary comments I've heard. But apparently he has really broken a record in terms of how can I say, to me, it has to be one of the most scandalous scandals in politics. So he was found, I guess, in the early 2000s. He was an avid user of a porn forum, and he used his email address, like it could be traced back to him. And he was caught making all sorts of really wild comments. Some of them very disturbing, like "I'm a Black Nazi." That was one of his quotes. We won't go into every little thing, but it's pretty out there. I mean, I've watched a couple of people talk about some of the comments, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And so a lot of people have already known about, some of this stuff. And, it's been kind of, hush hush and, behind the scenes that something was going to be coming out, and that this North Carolina race was really going to be in trouble, and it may or may not impact Donald Trump. And so, yeah, so I wish I could say I was shocked. He was already very much out there saying really disturbing things already. So the fact that they went and found this is not surprising. And I think maybe it was one of those things that, people were sitting on until the right moment to release.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not surprised either. Can you stop sharing your screen? I'm not surprised either. It's one of Trump's candidates. It's someone he's endorsing. This is the candidate Trump who he lacks moral integrity. So like, I'm not surprised that this is something that has come up. They don't do a lot of vetting with their candidates. The GOP, we see that in Trump's pick of JD Vance. So again, I'm not surprised.
Yes. I was gonna say too, it's so interesting to see how it's changed over the last several cycles, about like which party and candidates have this, high moral background and compass, and who gets to kind of decide family values. I mean, that was such a thing, back in the day with George W. Bush and right before Bill Clinton went out. It was kind of, many people were looking down on the Clintons, and, that they weren't living up to some sort of high values and morals. And then here comes George W. Bush. But then, like, to be where we are now with Trump and Melania and, just all these people, like even Herschel Walker, I mean, not even, but Herschel Walker was a prime example. It's like the Republican Party has fallen so hard when it comes to the high moral ground, but then yet it's still something that I feel like, parts of the party tried to cling to. But I'm just trying to figure out how they reconcile the candidates that they're being given, or that they're supporting. It doesn't really totally make sense.
They don't, and they don't reconcile it. In fact, a lot of their candidates they just cling to. Now, one thing I will give to the Democratic Party, like Democrats, they will get rid of somebody. Like if they're caught up in like a sexual assault harassment scandal, like they have no problem throwing one of their own up on the bus. Additionally, we don't see that with the Republicans. They just continue to continue to support them and continue to push them to these races, unfortunately. So I'm interested to see like how North Carolina pans out.
I know. Yes, that, and then I think there was like a time where they could have maybe taken him off the ballot. It's since passed, but it was coming down to like hours and minutes, and people were waiting to see if he was going to remove himself. But of course, I mean, why would he? And then I did hear in the end, various people familiar with the situation, they were saying, if he was going to actually step down, it would probably have to come directly from Donald Trump. And the last I heard, Donald Trump and JD Vance were doubling down on their support for Governor Robinson, Lieutenant Governor.
That's what I heard as well. The double standard about how they claim to be, pro-life, pro-family, but yet are going to prop up a candidate who has done what he has done and has these kinds of behaviors. It's incredibly telling.
It is. It very much is. So it'll be interesting to see. I really hope and pray that this man does not win. And I pray that Trump doesn't win North Carolina either. But I really sincerely hope that those people in North Carolina do not end up with this man as governor. So, all right, so we'll move on to another person that we hope never ends up in power deliberately or accidentally, is our good old JD Vance. Okay, so he's still at it, attacking immigrants. All right. So Vance says Haitian migrants with protected status are illegal aliens to be deported. So first it was illegals, but now it's anyone that is in the United States that is has any kind of immigrant background or leading up to it. They don't want asylum seekers. Now migrants with protected status don't count. And I believe there was also, Trump has definitely talked about, those people who are born in the United States to parents from other countries. He doesn't think that they, should be able to be citizens. And so this is not going to change. This seems to be something they're doubling down on. Immigration is one of the few issues that maybe Trump might have a little bit of an edge with Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And that still needs some more cleaning up to do in terms of letting people know where she's at with immigration policies and stuff like that. But from my understanding, it seems like this is going to be the next frontier. I even heard that now they're even starting to comment on the Congo. There's a whole genocide and war and things happening. I don't know if it's a war, but it's definitely, I believe, some sort of genocidal activity happening there, based on some of the, I think it's the minerals or metals or something that have to do with the iPhone and manufacture, things like that. But anyway, so let's dial it back to the Haitian migrants and JD Vance. What are you hearing and feeling where you are? Because I know New York, yeah. So go ahead, we'll unpack it.
So New York has the quote unquote migrant crisis, a huge political hot button issue here in New York. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he bused several loads of migrants to New York City. Our mayor has asked for funding from the governor. He's gotten funding from her, and he was asking for more funding earlier this year. Some of those migrants are being bused to Albany and from New York City. And then you have to also take into account New York has a housing crisis. So there's nowhere to put these migrants. So they're like holed up in like hotels. Just with no access to resources. But my question is, with Trump and JD Vance, why do they have to single out Haitian migrants? Is there a call to deport immigrants from Europe, from Sweden, from Norway? And I'm like, that's my problem with it. Like, I'm for strong borders, strong immigration, but it should be something that's equal. It shouldn't be where it's like you're only targeting a certain group of people. Um, and I'm thinking myself, JD Vance, just admit you don't want black and brown people over here in your country, as you believe it's your country. So I think it's incredibly concerning. My only issue is with Kamala. She definitely needs to have an immigration policy because, like you said earlier, they're leading in the polls with their stance on immigration. And she has a plan on her website, but she really needs to be communicating with this plan, what it is and where she stands for it. Is she going to go further than Biden on securing the border? Because, like I said, with these swing states like Arizona, that's going to come into play.
Honestly, it's the whole immigration. It's just so confusing to me because it's like the United States, it obviously is a country of immigrants and all kinds of other groups and people. Then you have just certain conflicts that are happening in the world are different. You know what I mean? So like you might have something like the Ukraine Russia invasion situation. Then you have, things happening over in, let's say, Ethiopia. Then you have drug lords or whatever in Mexico and people not feeling safe. And,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, how do you kind of measure and weigh all of these different conflicts and groups to decide which group and people get to come into the United States and stay and work and it's just the system there doesn't really seem like there's a uniform or system or that there's a whole lot of balance and fairness in it. So that's why it's kind of hard to even, for me, several things like when I hear people who are citizens now, but they came from another country and then they come here and that's fine and everything. But then to want to deny that to another group or people, and including asylum, now does there need to be some sort of, I don't know, screening or certain things to be taken into account? Sure, if you can. But that's why that whole border bill, and a bipartisan one at that, was so important, and then for Trump to just tank it by calling Congress and telling them not to, not to vote for it and everything else for political gain was really disappointing because I would have liked to see what that bill would have done.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that Oprah did sort of, I don't think she was like pushing Kamala, like Kamala wasn't trying to be, straightforward. I think it might have been in the interest of time or something, but she did say that she would sign, that border bill. So I would like to hear a little bit more on that. And you're right, absolutely. There were various governors in the South and these red states or whatever, and they sent all the migrants to Chicago and New York and various places. And it was a strain, I remember it's a friend of mine, or not a friend, but like a political, associate was putting something together to bring food to
Mm-hmm.
migrants and things like that. I think it was like last summer or fall or something. So yeah, I think we do need to talk more about the border and just not even just only that border, but just what is our stance on a lot of these different countries and who's coming in, and because there's a lot of people who come through the Canadian border,
Right.
so
Exactly.
yeah.
And
So
I question about how is she gonna like revamp the screening process when they come over? How are they gonna be held until they're processed?
yeah.
Are we same kind of thing that we saw during the Trump administration, some of the Biden administration, where they were held in cages and it just took forever to process? Is she going to fund ICE? Is there going to be a funding of that? I have a lot of questions on that.
And they say that the border, like a lot of times, political strategists and pollsters, that a lot of the states that are not even bordering or not even on the border have more, of a concern about immigration. than some of those places. And it makes sense, though, in some regards, if then they're getting an influx of migrant workers and immigrants. And I just know with Springfield, Ohio, and I think we covered this last week, is that they were looking for more people to come and live and work there because they had lost a lot of their population and jobs. And so they wanted Haitian migrants and, to come to Springfield to work and to, be part of their society. So it wasn't like, this was, they just like invaded this city and, and everything else. No, Springfield, Ohio really benefited from bringing in, people from other places. Oh, we'll keep an eye on JD. He actually, let's see, I believe he and Trump or at least Trump is they're planning a trip to Springfield.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Springfield,
probably
Ohio.
in another in 2 weeks. I wish I could find this. CNN did an excellent package on everything Trump, not almost everything, because probably so much of it was a good maybe like 7 things, at least 5 to 7 things where things he said he was going to do in 2 weeks. From when he was president to now, that's a line of his. So he said, we're going to revamp the Affordable Care Act, and I'll be releasing something in 2 weeks. And CNN, they went through it was the funniest thing. But that's what he says. Like, yeah, we'll see his immigration plan in 2 weeks. So, all right. So let's move on to this next piece. We're still on the story in regarding JD, but this is the Ohio Attorney General having to pretty much, I guess, stand up and be the adult in the room and say something in regards to these rumors and these lies that Trump and pals have made up regarding Springfield. So we'll listen to that and then we'll discuss. We'll just play a little bit.
Has now become the center of false allegations about Haitian immigrants eating pets. And it's leading to bomb threats in the town and growing fear among residents. CNN's Brian Todd reports on how the baseless claim took off after former President Trump brought it up in last week's presidential debate. Brian, update our viewers.
Wolf, just today, tensions in Springfield have been ramped up. The threats have increased because of these false rumors that have been amplified by Donald Trump and JD Vance. And we got word a short time ago that officials had to take urgent action at schools there. 2 elementary schools in Springfield, Ohio, evacuated today. 2 college campuses there, Clark State College and Wittenberg University, shut down. Classes being held virtually because of bomb and shooting threats. Some of the threats targeting the Haitian communities at the schools and in town.
A bomb threat, particularly one that disrupts something like a school, is a very serious crime. It's felony. So whoever's responsible, knock it off. You could go to prison on this.
Government buildings in Springfield have also received threats in recent days. The threats come in the wake of a disturbing sequence of falsehoods about the Haitian community in Springfield. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, who's from Ohio, picked up on internet rumors that Haitian immigrants in the town were eating people's pets. Then former President Donald Trump amplified those rumors at last week's debate.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Springfield's mayor and the Republican governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, again had to knock down the rumors.
And we just have no verifiable claim that this has actually happened.
The mayor tells us, and chief of police tells us, there's been no evidence at all of anyone eating a dog or any Haitians doing any of that.
Still, J.D. Vance, in an interview with CNN's Dana Bash, doubled down on the false claim, but provided no evidence for it. Then Vance said this.
If I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana.
But then, pressed by Bash on whether he created the whole story, Vance said this.
I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
Neither Vance nor Trump have moved away from the false claim of pets being eaten in Springfield, even when Trump was asked over the weekend if he would denounce the recent threats.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened.
Trump has threatened to conduct large deportations from Springfield if he's elected. Thousands of Haitians, the vast majority of whom are in the United States legally, have settled in Springfield in recent years, many of them to take jobs in new factories. Officials there say the local economy has improved, but there has been a strain on the town's infrastructure. So far, there's been no actual reported violence toward the Haitian community in Springfield, but one hate speech monitor worries about what's ahead.
There are some people that still can't tell the difference between the lies they see on social media and reality. And the fear is that one of them will take real violent action against the Haitian community.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
I mean, it's just, here we go, you know, it's like turn the page.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And what's crazy is right before JD Vance and Trump rather, right before Trump went on to that debate with Kamala, like the officials briefed them saying that there wasn't any claims that Haitian migrants were eating the pets. And it's just, and then you have JD Vance who's saying that they want to create media attention, so they'll continue to make up stories. Like they even went as far as to get Janet Jackson confused. She doesn't know if Kamala's black or not. I'm telling you, like, this is what we got. This is the other candidate on the other side. Like, this is the best they could come up with. Like, it's crazy.
It's really a shame that children, okay, I mean, on top of just gun violence in schools, and as if that's not enough, now you have like at the end, the man who is monitoring the digital hate, how he said, you know, there are people, you know, there's people who might watch that and think, okay, Trump's lying, or he's exaggerating, or okay, turns out it wasn't a true story. But then there's someone who is really out there maybe taking this seriously and will take things too far and get violent and, you know, everything else. And that just seems to be who a lot of times they're speaking to. And so, and then it's even more disturbing that this is a state that JD Vance is the senator for. Because sometimes, like when I, you know, when this first happened, you know, I kind of forget that, but I'm like, this is his state that he represents. And I mean, even if they really believe that was true, once they're being told it's not, you know, by the governor, the attorney general, the manager, etc., and they're continuing with this. And it's just so sad because they're just going in and wrecking, trying to wreck a community that, you know, maybe they did have questions about infrastructure and, you know, a new group of people coming in, you know, from somewhere else and, you know, trying to figure out resources. Okay, that's a legitimate, you know, conversation. But to take it to this degree and then, like, you know, like JD Vance said, just to make up a lie to discuss immigration like that, what else are you guys going to be making up lies about to discuss, you know, something with national security or, you know, who knows, you know? So poor Springfield. And I don't think this is over either, because Trump said he is going there in the next couple of weeks. And I know that there are some groups that are also going to Springfield to support the Haitian community. So I don't know. I just hope everything can be kept at a level, and that it does not, you know, end up in any violence in any sort of way.
Me too. And one last point. It's amazing, you know, I don't condone violence. I know every time Trump has an assassination attempt on him, he always tries to blame the rhetoric on the far left and saying that the Democratic rhetoric led to an assassination attempt. But yet he and his VP are outwardly spewing these lies. So that same standard needs to be applied to the Republicans as well.
Exactly. And I know after his different assassination attempts or whatever was going on, you know, Vice President Harris and President Biden, you know, said positive things in terms of, you know, supporting Trump and, you know, agreeing that there shouldn't be violence. So, I mean, I don't see him doing that, you know, but if it was, you know, the shoe was on the other foot, but sorry, they have they have made it a point to reach out and check if he's okay and everything. Okay, so all of these stories came from the debate. So now we're hearing on to our next story. Now we are hearing that Vice President Harris has accepted an invitation for a second debate. And we'll hear Trump's response, and then we'll talk about this. So this is Trump's response regarding this last debate with Harris.
We have several reporters and analysts ready to go over all of these days' developments. And let's begin with NBC's Dasha Burns at Trump's rally in Wilmington, North Carolina. All right, first thing, Dasha, we did hear from Donald Trump about the prospects of another potential debate. What did he say?
Yeah, Alex, he addressed it pretty much at the top of the rally. I want you to take a listen to some of what he said, and then we'll talk on the other side.
Although good entertainment value. A lot of people say, oh, do it, it's great entertainment. I've already done two. One with Crooked Joe Biden at CNN and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. Joe was driven out of the race. It was a coup, by the way, but he was driven out of the race. And they've been widely criticized by the radical left lunatics for all of the fairness. They were very fair. In other words, they won't be fair again.
So, in other words, he's scared.
And debate is supposed to happen in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I believe they wanted to have it in Atlanta, Georgia, around October 23rd.
Well, I applaud her for putting herself up to debate him again. As far as him, it's funny because early this year he sent out a tweet saying he can debate any place, anytime, but yet suddenly when she kicks your behind, you don't want to debate her anymore. I mean, either way, Kamala, that shouldn't deter her if she wants to use the platform to give us more information on her economic and immigration policy on CNN in Atlanta. I think she should take it. But as far as I'm concerned, they had a great debate, or she had a great debate against him the other week. She needs to spend this last stretch connecting with voters in person. That's what she should focus on.
Yes, I mean, I do think I'm torn. I would love to see her debate him again. But look at how much Springfield, Ohio, and they're eating dogs and cats, how much space and news, media time that has taken up from the debate. I mean, the debate was almost like 2 weeks ago, 2 3 weeks. So I can only imagine whatever happens at a debate on October 23rd is going to spill right on into the election. So, it's definitely risky for him because he did not fare so hot at all after the last debate. But I know she's trying to get out in front of more people, and that, of course, that was a huge audience. I think we'll see. I don't know, I think Trump could come back and change his mind and maybe debate her, maybe, but he'd probably have to either be so down in the polls or not looking good that he wants to do this, or stop her momentum, or if he has, I don't know what his.
I mean, if CNN will let her up there by herself and she can just answer the questions without any sort of interference from him, I don't see him turning down that spotlight. So for anything, I think vanity-wise, he would agree to a debate just because there's that many people watching. He'll be able to have that spotlight, and I don't see him wanting to give that up for her to have. That's the only thing. Nothing about connecting with the American voter. I don't think he's interested in that. I think he's interested in seizing the headlines for the next week, and he can do that if he decides to debate her again.
Mm-hmm. And he's definitely an entertainer, and I'm surprised he didn't attack Harris on this whole thing about Black men, and even though there's still a large support of Black men for Kamala Harris, but I'm surprised he didn't try to exploit that a little bit more. That's the only thing I could think of him trying to come back, in October to try to chip away, at Black voters, or going up there and either trying to somehow divide women, which would be hard, a little bit harder to do. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't totally rule him out for it. And I agree. He may not be able to pass up the opportunity to just at least be seen, by all those people on the world stage. So we'll see. And I think Georgia has, an opportunity. Both parties can capitalize off of that debate being in Georgia. Last time it was the primary, but for a general election debate and, having Kemp and Trump and MAGA, and then having the Georgia Democrats, I think that could be worth a little bit of entertainment. But I don't know. It'll be so close. But if any kind of like misinformation, disinformation did get out there, those last couple of weeks, that would be the only thing that quickly,
Yeah.
I wonder if she would get new viewers, but they had so many people watch that first time.
Yeah, and then we also didn't see a significant bump in the polls for Kamala right after that debate. So I don't see what a huge benefit it would be for her to do it again. He definitely stands to benefit if he can come back stronger, but for her, I feel like she's already made her mark on that. She needs to just do more outreach in person with voters.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, talking to voters right now is the most important thing. Okay, well, we're gonna go. Next week, I do want to keep an eye on Melania. She's got some new projects. We didn't get a chance to go into it today, and I want to just make sure I, choose a few things. But yeah, she's got some interesting projects going.
What's she up to?
She's releasing a memoir about her time as a model and the importance of being nude and art and embracing the body and all of that. So it's just, I mean, I don't hate the player and all of this. It's just very interesting that this is what she's doing a month and a half or so out from this election.
I mean, it still proves that she feels she's still raw and sensitive about not being able to be on the cover of Vogue and the attacks on her posing nude. So she clearly is not over it. It's just amazing that of all the issues, you could release a book about all the stuff that's happening in the world. Even when she was first lady, there was a lot of issues that came about when she was first lady. This is what you choose to focus on for your book. It's astonishing.
It is astonishing. Be best. That is what I will always remember Melania for, was her Be Best bullying campaign. And that's all I can really remember on it. But Be Best, that here I am years later. The name is still ringing out. So, well, we will keep an eye. We're in mid-September, so people are starting to vote. And so so we'll start getting information on the mail-in ballots, depending on the state and how early voting is going. And that's going to be a whole thing onto itself. So we will keep an eye on that. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to keep ramping up, especially as we get closer to this Walz JD Vance debate, October 1st, I think that is.
Are you going to vote in person, or are you going to do absentee?
That is a good question. Whichever is more convenient and easy, I will be doing that one. So ideally, I'd either like to, the minute I can turn in my ballot, if I do vote by mail, then I want to do that on the first day, or definitely in person first day, and just be done with it.
Interesting. I am going to be probably the foolish one to stand in line on election day.
Oh, wow.
This is so horrible to admit, but I got to be honest. I wasn't going to vote at the beginning of this year with the previous candidate for the Democrats who was on the ballot. And then when we got Kamala, I was like, let me make sure my voter registration is up to date. My polling site is located. I I think just because of the historical significance, like I kind of want to see this in person, and kind of witness the energy. And I want like a I voted sticker also just to like memorialize it. So I will be in person.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. Oh, it's almost here.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everyone. So, yes, thank you for joining us. And we will be again back here next week, and we will keep our eyes open. This is such a unique cycle. So, I'm excited to see what the heck is going to happen this week. I heard VP Harris is coming out with new economic, not new, but more economic policies, and she's going to flush some things out, and she might be announcing that in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania sometime this week. So,
Thank
looking
goodness.
forward to seeing that and hearing that.
Thank goodness. All
Yeah.
right.
They're listening.
Yes.
All right, Lynn. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.